How to ace an interview. In this session, we are going to find a lot of real life scenarios based on my experience. Let us start with the definition of interview. Interview is defined as a formal interaction between two parties, especially in business between employer and employee. The prospective employers ask questions and exchange information to the prospective employee. The employer's objective is to find the best talent to fill the job falling vacant. So it is, in another word, a selection process. But remember, interview is not a rejection process. Before we start with interview itself, let us at first cover one of the common myths about what interview and virtual interview is. What do you do before the interview? Anyway, lot of focus is on actual interview process. Personally speaking, most of the things happen before the interview. I opine about around 60% of the total interview process is all about preparing you for the interview rather than the actual interview process itself. The preparation for the interview, major thing is what do you do before the interview is very critical. What do you do during the interview and post interview? In this session, we will also present some interesting anecdotes of some of the common situations faced by interviewers and interviewee during interview process. I guess a lot of people are now becoming depressed because of the panicking situation caused by COVID-19 coronavirus, thinking that they might lose the job in the future or there might be fewer job vacancies and greater challenges to overcome the situation. If these all are bursting or about to erupt in your mind, yes, the research has shown that there will be a lot of ups and downs in each of the careers in the future. But be positive and make this time the best use of this time to be yourself focusing on your education and inventing yourself as a very capable and splendid candidates for the future. Probably most of you know what physical or personal interview is. Virtual interview might sound the new buzzword to quite few of you, but let me make clear that it has never been a scenario of virtual versus physical interviews. So virtual interviews to me were already integral part of the interview process. During job application process, after the submission of job application or resume, many interviewers had been performing telephonic interview and then practicing virtual interviews as well through Skype or any other video platforms. Physical interview had always been the last stage. It has been evidence about it has been evidence that about 30% decisions are made over the video conference kind of atmosphere. Many interviewers believe that through physical interviewees' body language, confidence level, spirit, etc. can be determined. Talking about interviewee entering the room of interviewer, mesmerizing the answers or points that you do not wish to miss out, or maintaining the same confidence level, etc., are always a challenging factor as interviewers is going to shape an ideology about you in around 15 to 30 minutes time of job interview. And this can be a critical as well crucial situation. Many candidates believe that the bigger is the resume, the chances of getting job is higher. This is absolutely incorrect. This is just a myth. Even a one A4 sheet is enough. What is there is in resume is important. Also, another important thing is that not all the questions have right answers. There is something called intelligent answers. Many interviewers look for intelligence, honest, and sincere answers. So it is also necessary for you not to give the right answers all the time. Don't look for the bookist answers for each question. There is a common myth among job seekers that high grades, high marks, and good college plus good people land you in the good job. This is absolutely false. Good rank or certificates do not guarantee you the good job. There is something you need to crack for the job. Even being a good speaker or an orator doesn't land you with a job. Communication is big deal breaker. So sometimes even an average communicator who has better role clarity and better goals in his head will be hired. The common problem of any interview process is appearing without an ample preparation. The thing that you need to worry about during the interview is about the time. So time is the most important thing than any other during the interview process. Besides, preparation is equally important and required because it helps to learn how the interviewer is going to be inspired through your answers. Now let us move towards some of the questions that gets asked during the job interview. Whatever interview may be, the very first questions that you get asked is introduce yourself or tell me something about you. This is a kind of open-ended question that sounds very simple to answer but is quite tricky too. Some people might find this type of question slightly stressful. If you are someone who does not like bragging about yourself, these kinds of questions can be difficult to answer. Interviewers ask these kinds of questions in order to determine if you are a good fit for the job. The interviewer will also note how comfortable you appear answering open-ended questions. This will speak to your ability to think quickly on your feet as well as to prepare for important conversations at work. Remember, tell me something about yourself that's not on your resume. One of the goal of this question is to get to know you a little bit beyond your career and on the job attitude and experience. My experience being an interviewer, most of the interviewee answer this question with the basic information like name, current address, and with personal information only. Please be noted that we should not be re-answering any questions that we have already mentioned or answered in our job application and resume. So, to answer these questions, always bring with a brief overview of where you are now, which could include your current job along with a reference to a personal hobby or passion. After this reference to how you got to where you are, here you can maintain education or an important experience such as a past job, internship, or volunteer experience. And then finally, by touching on a goal for the future. So, in brief, we can say that present, past, future formula is the way to share key background points. One can start like when I am not working or during holidays, I like to participate in social activities. While answering about you, please be honest. Don't claim hobbies and interests that aren't your passions. And always try to use your response to demonstrate skills and qualities that are valuable in the role. In addition, please avoid talk about politics, religion, or anything that could cause offense. Plus, do remember that you don't need to share information about your family or personal life too. So don't even get too personal. There is no need to discuss about spouses, partners, children, or any other strictly personal information. The next question that you might get asked can be what is your greatest strength? The reason for asking this question is to identify whether your strength align with the needs of company and the job's responsibilities. The company wants to learn whether you are a good fit for the role you are interviewing for. So your response will help the employer decide whether or not you are the strongest applicant for the position. So if you are applying for an accounting job, it's not helpful to highlight your strength in marketing or event organization, etc., etc. So for this kind of questions, your answer can be like this. I have a solid work ethic. When I'm working on a project, I don't just want to meet deadlines. Rather, I prefer to complete the project well ahead of schedule. But always remember not to present an abstract ideas. So you should not be saying like, I am probably the most gifted applicant you will encounter. Everyone says that I am extremely intelligent, hardworking, and a fabulous communicator. Or you can't even say like my greatest strengths are writing, project management, quantitative research, event planning, budget development, and social media. So always try to focus to give your answer in more concrete way. So for the same question, talking about my strength, my answer can be like this. My background as an English major will certainly help me succeed in the job. I, reinst- I restructured, edited, and wrote the employee newsletter for, you can give the name of the place where you are working at present, and brought focus to employee profits and contributions. So you can go like this. Now let us move towards the next question. In our previous question, we discussed about our strength. So the next question can be related to your greatest weakness. This type of question is asked because the employer wants to know whether you are qualified for the job. The hiring manager is also looking for indicators that show you have been able to learn new tasks and handle new challenges. So for this type of tricky questions, your answer can be sometimes I spend more time than necessary or take tasks that could easily be delegated to someone else. Although I have never missed a deadline, it is still an effort for me to know when to move on to the next task and to be confident when signing other works. So, what do you need to do is turn a negative into positive. Frame your response in a positive manner. It is important not to talk too much about your weaknesses or what you need to improve. The next interview questions can be behavioral interview questions like, have you ever had to make a really tough decision at work? Or what are the most difficult decisions you have to make in your position? Employers, they ask these questions in job and promotion interviews simply because they want to see that when you face a difficult decision or situation, you are able to handle it. They also want to see that what kind of decisions you consider difficult. The logic behind this type of questions is that how you behaved in the past is a predictor of what you will do in the future. So there are no right or wrong answers to these types of questions. Some of the most challenging decisions that people in mid management or senior management have to include can be deciding who to terminate if layoffs become economically necessary, or deciding who to promote when you have several great candidates. In these types of situation, always remember to keep your answers positive. For example, even though it was difficult decisions to discontinue that particular employee, I did so in an extremely professional manner, and this decision ultimately led to improvements in efficiency and productivity throughout our department. Or your answer can be, I find the hardest decision I have made is when I have to choose between strong team members for promotion. There have been occasions when, even though I liked one person better than other, I nonetheless had to choose the other person based on their potential to assume the responsibilities of their new role. Moving to the next question, why are you the best person for the job? For this type of questions, your answer should be convincing the hiring manager that you are a unique and strong candidate. Personality or personal traits make you an ideal candidate. Try to match your qualifications to those listed in the job posting and explain why you are a solid match. Second, emphasize your unique skills. If you have skills that make you a strong candidate, mention these as well. Likewise, show the employer what you have accomplished in your previous roles that qualify for this one. Share examples of your achievements that relate to the job for which you are interviewing. Focus on how can you help the company. For this, you can even bring as much examples you like. Express your uniqueness without degrading other candidates. Always remember the most important thing that you need to consider is not to compare yourself with others. During my past experience being an interviewer, I've encountered a lot of candidates answering like this. Unlike some of the other candidates I'm sure you have seen today, I have experience in the field, which means that I can hit the ground running on day one. Instead of doing a comparison, it is smart to highlight the skills that you believe set you apart from other candidates for the position. Don't throw shade on others. Keep your tone positive. Start your answers in more precise as well as optimistic way. So for the same question, the effective answer would be, my years of experience in this field have given me on the job knowledge as well as a sense of where the industry has been and where it is going in the future. I have the kind of technical skills that only come from doing the job for several years. I can slide seamlessly into this role and start hitting goals on my very first day. Please Try to answer the questions in more concrete way. Abstract answers, as you know, they might sound philosophical but cannot be practical. Another questions asked during the job interview can be related to bringing work home. For example, do you take work home with you? Employers ask this question for a variety of reasons. They might want to know that you are organized and can do all of your work in the allocated time. They also might want to make sure you maintain a decent work life, or nowadays it is even called like life work balance, which many employers believe will ultimately make you a happier and thus better employee. However, there are some employers who are really looking for people who make work the center of their lives and want to assess just how dedicated to the job you will be. So, to avoid any misunderstanding between you and the possible employers, your possible answers can be: I'm extremely organized and skilled at budgeting my time. When I begin a project, I create a timeline for myself that allows me to complete the assignment in a timely manner without taking my work home. However, I understand that sometimes timelines change or issues come up, and I am always willing to take work home with me when that happens. Employers almost always ask about why you left or are leaving your job. Be prepared with an explanation for why you are moving on. Do make sure the reasons you give match what past employers will say about you if they are contacted for reference. They might ask a lot of questions about leaving your previous job, like why are you leaving your job? Or why did you want to change jobs? Or why were you fired? Or why were you laid off? Or why did you quit your job? Why did you resign? Etc. etc. Giving a negative answer may not reflect well on you. At least be neutral or leave your boss out of your answer. The best way to do this is to highlight the reasons why you are seeking for the new position. Be direct and focus your interview answers on the future rather than the past, especially if your leaving wasn't under the best of circumstances. So, to avoid any kind of misunderstanding, you can start your answer like this: I found myself bored with the work and looking for more challenges. Or I'm looking for a bigger challenges and to grow my career. Or even you can start like this: I'm relocating to this area due to family circumstances and left my previous position in order to make the move. Remember, please don't get personal, no matter what. Don't badmouth your former boss, colleagues, or company. Instead, you try to tie the job you are interviewing for your qualification and the fact it is better fit for your skill set. So, these are the questions that you get frequently asked when you are applying for a new position or when you are called for a job interview. To sum up, please try to collect as much information about the company or organization where you are called for an interview. Do basic research about the organization and so research about current affairs going on in the organization. Google about the company or organization and try to collect and remember as much interesting things about the organization. Google about the interviewer. If you know any particular person in the company who is going to take an interview with you, then try to Google up information about him or her. This can help you to get Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or any social information about the interviewer as well. Try to get crucial information about him or her before you face the interviewee itself. It also helps to understand if there is any common interest that connects the dots. Now, let us move to the interview itself. In an interview, distraction is the major problem. Talking about distractions, please avoid all type of distractions during the interview. Distractions can be caused due to your improper body language, facial expressions, and gestures made by hands. Body language is very important because consistent body language provides an opportunity to convince the interviewer of your worth as a candidate, as up to 93% of human communication is actually conveyed through body language. In addition to gestures, facial expressions, and posture, the volume and tone of your voice play a role. Body language is especially meaningful in an interview as your interviewer will be paying as much attention to nonverbal cues as to what you have to say. Hence, it is highly important to have proper body movements and posture while speaking. Body language is very important in all forms of communication. It helps to break the barrier of unfamiliarity and helps to form a better connect with the recipient of information. Please remember that interview is a type of mind game, so try to overcome all the barriers. For this, you can conduct or practice with mock interviews before participating interview itself. And the important thing during the meeting is time. So please bear the time management. When you attend an interview, the interviewer will look to see what time you arrived as it can tell them some information about you, giving them a first impression of you. If you arrive too early, it can give the impression that you are too desperate to impress. Arriving early or late can also show the interviewer that either you have not researched your travel time properly or that you have poor time management skills. Any of these can give the wrong impression about you. Be smart and research the time it will take you to arrive for 15 to 10 minutes before your interview. If you do arrive way too early, then go for a walk or for a coffee till it is closer to the time. If you are delayed because of events out of control, always make sure you have the phone number of the contact of the interview to inform them. Another thing to remember, please don't forget to smile while you are answering. It is a type of courtesy you exhibit. During the first few seconds of the interview, a friendly smile will tell the interviewer you are easygoing and interested. It also shows that you are confident in your abilities and eager to help others along. Those who smile more also help create a more pleasant environment. Although it is important to smile during a job interview, just be careful not to do so too much. Smiling excessively will only make you look weird and detached. Eye contact is another important thing that you need to consider. But please remember not to make an awkward eye contact. Just maintain an adequate physical distance with good eye contact. Eye contact with an interviewer during an interview conveys many different messages. The most important being confidence and self esteem, which are both important qualities to have as an employee. The interviewer is also able to gauge your interest level based on the amount of eye contact you make. Before concluding, I would just like to add one last thing. Please do speak slowly so that you get an adequate time to think and answer at the same time. Thank you once again. I believe this session will definitely help you to face and go through the real interview process successfully. If you need any more detail, please go through my blog www.subodhbhattarai.blogspot.com. Thank you.